With the hourglass upside down and the final grains of sand falling out the bottom of 2021, I think it's safe to say that this was a tumultuous year. It kind of feels like 2021 never really got out of the starting gates, like this year literally has ended before it even really started. Thankfully, the world of video games slows down for no man, woman, child, or novel coronavirus, and before we officially put 2021 to bed, we thought it would be nice to go back over some of the bright spots of this rough year. So for the record, the following list and subsequent comments don't necessarily reflect the opinions of every writer here at Operation Sports, because this is my own thing, it's not something we voted on, but we are Operation Sports. I'm Matt Edinburgh, and here are the top 5 sports games of 2021. Number 5. Out of the Park Baseball 22. Out of the Park Baseball 22 is, quite simply, the greatest text-based sports game ever made, period. OOTP continues to tweak and fine-tune their experience, leading to challenging and rewarding gameplay. The studio, Out of the Park Developments, they really listen to their fan base, in my opinion anyway, and they try really hard to add the most heavily requested features as quickly as they can, the most recent huge addition being the Stadium Creator, which came in 2020. The problems that plague other text-based sports sims, such as a lack of interactivity, or the fact that playing this game doesn't actually feel like the sport it's emulating, those are non-existent with Out of the Park Baseball. Players can watch and participate in full games with 3D models. Graphics aren't great, mind you, of course, but hey, the players are at least baseball players. Games can be as short or as long as you want, going pitch by pitch, or just through the highlights. Players can start an MLB team in any season dating back to 1871, or create their own fictional world at any point in history and use real players to populate their universe. Sorry, this is turning into a commercial, but this game is basically baseballreference.com meets Minecraft. You can just create your own baseball utopia. The more I talk about this game, the higher I want to rank it, honestly. Number 5 might be too low. Number 4. Mario Golf Super Rush. The only Nintendo Switch exclusive on the list today, I've already sung the praises of this game in my top 5 sports games for the Switch list. I won't go too in depth on it here, but suffice it to say I did rank it number 1 on that list. I do think this is the best sports game that the Nintendo Switch currently has to offer. The new game modes, such as Speed Golf, are really solid. The story mode is good for what it is. And online matches are a ton of fun. They're very fast paced. Honestly, they might be the highlight of this entire game. So, you know what you're getting with Mario Golf, but if you're a fan of that Mushroom Kingdom sports scene, you will not be disappointed by Mario Golf Super Rush. Number 3. NBA 2K22. It's easy to hate on 2K, and I'm not even telling you that you would be wrong to do so, but a lot of people felt like 2K22 was a small step in the right direction, myself included. Despite some issues with server stability, especially right after release, the gameplay in NBA 2K22 is actually very solid. Defense has gotten much easier to play, and AI players actually play defense around you, which is a welcome change. And it seems as though the consensus on 2K this year is solid game, step in the right direction, but it's still bogged down by the typical 2K problems. Microtransactions, constant ads, microtransactions, the most annoying man on planet Earth, the 2K MC, microtransactions. You see where I'm going with this. It's still very much 2K, but at least it's a good version of 2K this year. Speaking of which, Number 2, NHL 22. It's much like NBA 2K22, a very good version of the game you've come to know and love. Personally speaking, I think this is the best hockey game since NHL 14. This is a massive step in the right direction, and I even put out a list of 5 things that NHL needs to fix in order to be a great game, and it's fixed 1 or 2 of them already. So hey, good job on you, EA Sports. The way I feel about NHL is pretty much exactly how I feel about 2K, except slightly better. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb here and say I think the worst thing about this game at this moment is its fan base, which tends to skew angry and racist. Have I mentioned yet that the opinions expressed in this video today do not necessarily reflect Operation Sports? Cool, let me reiterate that. The NHL fan base has some of the worst people I've ever seen online. Ever. Racist trolls who don't look to play the game, but who look for a flaw in the coding and attempt to exploit it over and over. I'm talking people dropping racial slurs on you while trying to score by banking it off your goalie from behind the net. The worst of NHL's fans are some of the worst people online, which covers a lot of ground. It's a small minority, but they're loathsome. Perhaps this brings up a philosophical question, in fact. Can you blame the game itself for the fan base it draws in? I don't know. Can you blame Rick and Morty for the fact that their fans would assault a McDonald's manager for a novelty sauce packet? Who knows? I don't know. All I know is that it's often unpleasant to play NHL 22 online. I think that's worth noting here, but at the same time, this is still the second best sports game of the year, fan base notwithstanding. It's a very good game that is not even close to our number one selection on the list today. Number 1, MLB The Show 21. I'm not even a baseball guy, but it looks like baseball is bookending the list today. A dominant, a blowout victory this year for MLB The Show, in my opinion, which beat the pants off of every other sports game in 2021. The most consistent and reliable sports game on the market for at least the last 5 years, if not double or triple that even. So the changes to Road to the Show mode, where you create a player and take him through his baseball career, those angered a lot of people, and they threw me off at first too. Once you figure out how to kind of make Road to the Show work for you, it's still pretty much the exact same game mode as it's always been, every bit as fun and rewarding as it has been in previous years, in my opinion. There are some small bugs here and there, some minor imperfections that keep this game from being like a 10 out of 10, but the simple fact is, MLB The Show gets closer to the sport of baseball than any other sports game ever gets to the sport that they're trying to replicate. This game looks beautiful, it sounds immaculate, there are numerous really good game modes to lose yourself in, tons of viable options for players to sink hours and hours of gameplay into. Yet again, MLB The Show is the gold standard of sports gaming in 2021, and I really think it's going to stay like this for the next couple of years. That's going to do it for us today at Operation Sports, but keep it locked here. We got a ton of stuff coming up. It's 2022, and you know what that means. Brian Unique Mazik, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, has been putting out a ton of great content for us lately. Check out some of his videos if you haven't. Keep it locked here at the main page, operationsports.com, for the best, most informative and entertaining coverage in sports video games. We got some awesome writers over at the website. I really am proud to be part of this team. And if you liked me, my name is Matthew Editor. You can hear more of me over at SNME Radio, Sunday Nights Main Event Radio, on terrestrial radio in Canada, and of course in podcast form, wherever you catch your podcasts. I'll be doing a couple big shows here at the end of the year. We have a top 121 wrestling matches of 2021 countdown. We'll also have a review of the Day 1 pay-per-view up after January 1st, 2022's wrestling show, which hopefully goes off without a hitch. It's a pretty good card on paper, but we know how the times are right now. Anyway, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for listening and for watching and for, commenting and sticking around with these videos. I really appreciate it. We're back for much more in 2022. Stay safe out there, and hey, Happy New Year.